All right, got my Pit Barrel smoker in the mail yesterday, and today I'm going to use it for the first time. It comes pretty much set up right out of the package. I'm not going to spend a lot of time explaining the Pit Barrel cooker because there's some great videos at pitbarrelcooker.com where the owner, Noah Glanville, goes through how this thing works, what you get right out of the box, how to smoke different meats on it. The reason for that is typically on a device like this, you would smoke with a grate, a cooking rack, which it comes with. But the main way that you're supposed to use this particular smoker is with the rods. You can see that this smoker has holes here in the top that you place these rods into it. And it comes with 8 hooks, so you can hang up to 4 different slabs of meat on each rod, charcoal at the bottom, and the meat actually hangs in this 30-gallon barrel and smokes that way. Now you might think, what if it falls off? Is the meat strong enough to hold on to the hooks, or does it, when it's getting tender in the smoker, does that cause problems? Noah answers all those kind of questions on his website, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. But I just wanted you to see the basic setup, and here in a few minutes, after I've started the charcoal, I'm going to head inside and start prepping the meat. And I'm interested to show you guys what I'm going to be smoking today because it's some non-typical things you don't usually see guys smoking, and so I'm going to walk you through that process with the Pit Barrel today, and we'll see how it goes. Alright, me and Grizz, the, I don't even know how old he is now, probably 10 or 12 weeks old, Bernese Mountain Dog, our puppy, are here, and we are ready to start smoking. So we're going to get the lid off here. Looks like we got a good bunch of smoke going. Noah recommends 20 minutes. I've gone a little longer here just because it always takes me longer than I think it's going to prep the meat. The first thing we're going to do, first of all, I'm going to do today's smoke with no wood chips. I'm just using charcoal, which is what Noah does in the videos. Typically with my old smokers, whether it's the Masterbuilt or the Weber, I would use wood chips. But the charcoal flavor is fantastic, obviously, and so we're going to try and do it without wood chips today and just use that charcoal flavor. I have my chicken. I bought a whole chicken and I've cut that in half and rubbed it with Noah's all-purpose seasoning rub that he sends with every smoker, free sample. Noah would probably be pretty ashamed of my hook job on this chicken here, but hey, it's my first time, so still getting things figured out. So the chicken is hanging. Now, I told you earlier we're going to smoke some atypical things. Noah's got a ton of good videos on the pitbarrelcooker.com website on brisket, on pork butt, on chicken, on turkey, even on some less traditional things like tri-tip. That's a more western cut. A lot of the smoker videos I watch are southern guys, and they're all doing brisket and pork and those kind of things. He does tri-tip. He does some other fun things on there, but I'm doing some non-typical, not entirely non-typical. I've done these before, but I'm doing these beef ribs, and I'm not even sure how to hang these properly, but what I've decided to do is put one hook facing each way. With the spare ribs, as you'll see in Noah's videos, you would put the hooks towards the wider end if you're not trimming them. But with these, it was hard just with the angle of the bones to find a way to put 2 in level, and I was too scared to just put in one hook on my first attempt here. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and hook these on both bars, and you guys see I'm videoing myself here. So if I can do this one-handed, anybody can do this, and that was actually pretty easy to just slip that on there one-handed. And the last thing, if you can guess what this is, I'm going to be really impressed. So the beef ribs are kind of rare, but they're not the most rare thing. I've heard of other people smoking them. I've just never seen any good videos on it, but I know they exist. This here I had never even heard of before. I saw this in the grocery store today. I had to pick it up. It's called breast of lamb. This is actually lamb breast, which I don't know for sure. I'm not really good on my meat cuts, but I think this would actually be equivalent to the brisket of a lamb. Beef brisket is obviously really popular. but I think this would actually be lamb brisket. They call it breast of lamb in the grocery store. And we're going to try this today. We're going to see how it works. For the beef ribs and the lamb brisket, I used Noah's beef and game rub. And so both of those free samples come with every Pit Barrel smoker. And I'm actually going to get a little bit creative here. I have these 2 little giblets of lamb that I pulled off when I pulled off the silver skin off of the back of the lamb. And I'm actually just going to position them over the edge of the beef ribs there and let those cook like little hors d'oeuvres. And then back to the lid. And we'll come back in probably an hour and a half or so and do our first check. Here we go. All right, me and Grizz are here again, and we're a little over an hour and a half into our smoke. We're going to get this lid off of here. By the way, I read some reviews online that said that handle got hot. I haven't experienced that so far. This is my first pull. Now, normally I wouldn't check an hour and a half in on anything, but these lamb ribs, I'm a little worried about them. I'm sorry, lamb brisket. It's kind of like ribs because there is some bone structure. As a matter of fact, if you noticed earlier, if you thought I put those hooks in a funny spot that might tear through, the reason I did that is because there actually is some bone structure in the lamb breast. It's not like a beef brisket where the bones have all been removed. But anyhow, only an hour and a half in. It doesn't look like these are really close to being done. So my worries were unfounded. We'll put that lid back on, and it looks like we'll have a ways longer to go. All right, well, we are about ready to pull off the breast of lamb, the lamb brisket. I made some crucial mistakes, at least one crucial mistake at the beginning. Right now we're about 2 hours and 45 minutes in, and you can see the internal temperature in the grill. The smoker is just under 300 degrees, a little above 280. For the first hour and a half, I didn't realize that temperature was all the way down in probably, I'm guessing, the high 100s. I didn't have this thermometer on it. But when I checked it at the hour and a half mark, I realized after I turned off the video that things were not getting cooked. It wasn't hot enough in there, and that's not the fault of the cooker. That's my fault for not rewatching Noah's video on how to light it for the first time. I definitely should not have deviated from his instructions at all. I thought I was doing it pretty accurately, but I didn't use enough charcoal in the charcoal chimney when I first started. So when I dumped those into the basket that contained more briquettes at the bottom of the smoker, and then threw the lid on right away, they never really had much punch behind them, and the rest of the coals didn't get lit properly. But what we're going to do is we're going to have this lamb for supper tonight. I'm going to pull it, but I'm going to leave the chicken and the beef ribs on while we eat dinner, and we'll have the chicken and the beef ribs for Sunday dinner tomorrow. But the chicken about 15 minutes ago was at about 120 internal temperature, so that still needs to go for another probably half hour, 45 minutes to get it up to the 160 range. The beef ribs are, everything's looking amazing. The beef ribs look delicious, but I think they need to go just a little bit longer. But this lamb, I'm going to pull it off right now. It does have, it's almost like ribs because it's thin and bony structure. But I did find enough meat to put a probe thermometer in there a little while ago. It was at 160. So I hope it's not too much like beef brisket, because that would obviously be way too low of a temperature to pull a beef brisket. But we'll try it with the lamb. We'll see if it's more like steak or if it's more like brisket. We'll find out. Anyhow, handy dandy little tool. So you don't really need heat gloves if you have one of these smokers. You just use this little tool right there to pull your meat right off. And we'll throw that on the pan. We'll get the other one. We'll get them inside, and we'll let you know what they taste like. But it's looking good. All right, so here is the dinner, the homemade fries and some steamed broccoli. That's what the lamb looks like with that piece cut in half. That's Steph's piece.
Hi.
Looking good. The lamb, that is. You're looking good too. So we're going to dig into it, and we'll let you know how it is. So I just had my first bite. It's pretty good. It's not bad. It's not the best barbecue I've ever had, but it's got the good lamb flavor. It's an interesting piece of meat because it has a bone that runs almost the entire length of it, so you can't really cut through it in certain places. But it is pretty tasty, and thinking we'll probably have this again. All right, we're getting really close on this chicken. You can see I'm using the ThermoWorks ThermoPop thermometer, which is about $70 cheaper than their Thermopin. The Thermopin reads in about 3 seconds. This thing reads in about 6 seconds. So for 3 seconds, I'm willing to save $70, and the ThermoPop works great. Anyways, be pulling these off probably here in the next 10 to 15 minutes, and I'm just going to pull the beef ribs off when I pull the chicken off. There's really not much science to ribs when you pull them. It's not really based on temperature. It's based on how much the meat has pulled back from the bones and how tender or how easily twisted the bones are, things like that. But anyhow, I did want to say one final thing about that lamb. As I put the thermometer way over here, and we'll put the lid back on for a few minutes here. I said in the video when we were eating dinner that the lamb was okay but not great, but honestly that first bite was probably the worst bite. It wasn't that it was bad, but as I got into that lamb, it was really good. I would actually recommend it. Lamb can be pretty expensive, but that breast of lamb brisket was only about $2.98 a pound. And as I got into it more, that first bite was from a thick, fatty part of the brisket. And as I got down into the thinner areas where it had smoked more and cooked more, it was really delicious. The flavor was great. If you don't like lamb because of the gaminess, maybe I'm just getting used to the gaminess, but on the smoker with that particular cut of lamb, it just tasted like a delicious piece of barbecue. It had a really distinct, unique, delicious flavor, and it wasn't gamey. That wasn't a problem at all. I've had that gamey problem with lamb in the past, and this was really mild and delicious. So I would recommend that, the lamb brisket or breast of lamb, whatever they call it in your grocery store, especially if it's that cheap. That's less than half as much as a lot of cuts of lamb will cost in the grocery store. So that was delicious. Closing thoughts on this particular smoke. I told you about my mistake that I made earlier. That was one reason that the cooker didn't get up to temp, and therefore it took longer to cook these things. That's my fault. Also, it is a really pretty chilly day here in Upper Michigan. It's only about 36 degrees. And so all in all, I really should have taken better care of the charcoal and gotten things started better because I really didn't give them a chance. So definitely make that correction in the future. If you do decide to get a pit barrel cooker, it's a fantastic deal. I was just telling Steph, I'm used to this is the smoker I use the most, my Masterbuilt electric. That's about to change though. And I have the older style with these grid racks that are a real pain to clean up because the meat gets caught in all the corners and you have to scrub the thing to get the meat cleaned off of there. And it's kind of a pain. With this thing, the only cleanup is those little hooks that you saw in the meat. Now we'll put those hooks right in the dishwasher, and I'll tip this barrel over and dump out the old ash. But really, the cleanup is going to be super easy, and it'll be delicious. So anyhow, I recommend pit barrel cookers for sure. And if you have any questions, certainly feel free to contact me. Alright, I thought my last video was closing thoughts, but then I remembered, hey, I need to show you guys the chicken and the ribs when they come off. They look amazing. The beef ribs are dark, mahogany. I wish the lighting was better, but it's getting dusky in here and I don't have a great light in the garage. The chicken that I cut in half, man, it looks so delicious. It's a bummer we already had dinner. One final thing I definitely want to mention to you guys is I'm estimating probably 3.5 hours into my smoke here. I did not even use a full basket. Again, I didn't follow the instructions, which I should have. If we can get the smoke to clear off here in a minute. I don't know, you probably won't have a very good view at all, but I can tell you from my vantage point here, I haven't used half of the charcoal in that basket. And they claim that if you do it like they tell you to, you fill the basket properly, you light it properly, and you set your airflow properly for your elevation, which is 1/4 open for my elevation, that it'll last you 8 hours and you can do a brisket. And you might think, you can't do brisket in 8 hours, but actually watch the videos on pitbarrelcooker.com, because the brisket is done faster. Everything is done faster in this cooker because of the design. So yes, you can do a brisket, maybe even as little as 5 to 6 hours. I know you purists are thinking that's ludicrous, it's not possible. But unless everyone in the videos is lying, which I don't think they are, it is possible. And as you can see, I still have a ton of charcoal left, 3.5 hours in. And it's not a huge basket, it doesn't use that much charcoal. I think they say 8 pounds it will use, but I didn't use nearly that. And again, that was probably part of my problem. But a great first smoke, and thank you for watching. Hopefully there will be many more to come. Next time probably you want to try some brisket or pork butt or something a little bit more traditional. Thanks for watching.